Welcome to Exhale, a Black woman's guide to a better you. I'm your host, Karen Vaughn, and yes, we've changed the tagline because we're talking about how to live your best life, all things living an amazing life in 2025. And today, we're diving into something that can change the game for the year ahead, creating your joy list. Yes, we're talking about intentionally creating happiness for yourself in 2025. I'm joined by Dr. Sigrid Elston, and together we're going to talk about how we can prioritize joy and make space for what truly lights us up. So grab your journal like we have. This is like one of my favorite notebooks, and I add some of my favorite stickers, and it says melanin poppin', Black girl magic, and all of the good things that just bring me joy when I'm writing inside my journal or my notebook. So if you have one, definitely find it in the room, or if you have a notepad, a scratch pad, even if you just have a napkin and a pen, it is okay. You can join us by getting your journal, taking a deep breath, and get ready for an episode that will leave you feeling inspired and ready to live intentionally in the new year. How are we feeling today, Dr. Sigrid? I'm feeling good.
I'm feeling good. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm happy about this episode because we can reflect on 2024 and set up 2025. Yes. This is the perfect time of the year, like after Christmas, things are a little quiet, all the gifts have been unwrapped, they're still under the tree, and it's just really time to think about, it's the new year. Mm-hmm. So beyond New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, what does my 2025 look like? And let's do that with joy and intentionality. So we're going to kick things off, and this is going to be an interactive episode. And I love that because you can actually do the exercises along with us. And the first thing is, and Dr. Sigrid, I'll let you start. Can you share with us 3 moments in 2024 that brought you the most joy? Just the most joy, not accomplishments, guys, not, that amazing, new job that you started or, got that good raise. Maybe that did bring you joy, but just really, really dig deep in what brought you joy this year. And you should share yours with us, Dr. Sigrid.
Well, joy, I love the topic, and I must add, before I start, I like the whole even grab a napkin, or a pen, because sometimes when we're journaling or have lists or something we need to remember, it doesn't matter, it just needs to be put somewhere. So I like that idea. The joy that came to me, so I turned 50 this year, okay, and so
50 is the new 30.
And I walked in to the chapter.
Yes.
So, along with that, so I don't know if that's my number one or one of the 3, but along with that were some celebrations. And so some of my favorite people who are no longer with us are Prince. We share the same birthday. So got a trip to Paisley Park in June.
I saw that on your Facebook page.
Yep. We share our same birthday. And so that week went to Paisley Park for the first time, and it was wonderful. And then in August, one of my other favorites went to see Bob Marley's beginning and resting place in Jamaica. And so that was wonderful. So those are top on the list. Along with that, I would add just health and academic success, and especially of my 2 children and my 2 nephews. Got to see my oldest nephew graduate just a few weeks ago, and that was just an exciting time, and definitely great modeling for the other children. And so they've all done well this school year, but those brought me a lot of joy, and for our family to come together and be in good health to celebrate.
I love that. And you look like you have joy written all over your face. Just talking about it.
I will. I do.
So I'll share mine as you all think through 3 things that brought you joy in 2024. I decluttered my closet and got a new closet.
Huge.
I recently moved into a home and the rack fell like last August. And I said, I'm not picking anything up. I know this is petty of me. I know it's super petty. But I said, I'm not picking anything up until I have a real closet. Some of this stuff has to go. I'm done. Right? And then after like a week or 2, my husband realized I was really serious.
Beyond petty.
Yeah. And after a month, he was like, oh no, she's dead serious. Sometimes you just, Yes, this closet is no more. It's gone. So then we pulled everything out and just worked on getting a new closet. So at the beginning of the year, whole new revamp, and just really got rid of things that did not serve me anymore. You know, the outfit that you've been holding on to for 4-5 years, saying, I can't wait till I can get back into this. You can't, that's like torturing yourself every time you go into your closet. I was like, I'm not torturing myself. If it doesn't fit today, it's no longer serving me. Okay. So I pulled everything out. So, and I'm still working through that, you know, like just making sure that I'm always decluttering this closet. That was one. The other thing is I started a herb garden. I wanted to make my own herbs, create my own blends for cooking, for my hair, all the things. Just want to keep things as natural as possible. And when you go into the grocery store and you see like a jar of herbs, it's like $5. I said, but I could grow that for free in my backyard. But I did not know how relaxing it would be and how I'm immediately leaving work and dropping my bag and going straight outside to the patio, which is my other place. So we could put the herb garden and the patio together, right? Love just relaxing on the patio, sitting back, being outside. I'm not really a nature girl, but maybe I'm becoming one, to where I just sit back. I might have an adult beverage. I'm watching the sunset. I don't have my phone. That is what brings me joy. Okay. And then finally, just my son graduating from high school was just such a great moment, seeing him achieve one of the biggest elements in his life of graduating from high school. And because he was a COVID graduate in the 8th grade, he didn't have an 8th grade graduation. So his prior graduation was kindergarten, and he doesn't even remember it, right? So kindergarten graduation, high school graduation, virtual 8th grade graduation. So it's, you know, individuals celebrating him and the family coming here to celebrate him and to be with him. And he really enjoyed that feeling. I think I enjoyed it even more. But that truly brought me joy. So.
And your mom was here for
my celebration. Was here. That was a whole task in itself, getting her from Connecticut.
We talk about joy.
Yes. Oh,
the joy.
Yeah, she was here. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. We're joyful that she was here. I'm sorry. Wait for more else. This is the joy list. Okay. Not the stress list.
We're not doing it. Joy. Relax.
Yes. Yeah, and I love seeing the sparkle in her eye when she sat down at Cameron's graduation, and she was just in tune, just focused, just enjoying every moment. And to see her enjoy it just brought us all joy too, because she had to be there. Her only grandchild, there was no excuse.
Oh, that's precious.
Yeah, so I hope so far, like, as you're watching or as you're listening, that you're creating your 2024 joy list, because you're going to use it. You're going to use it to build what is going to bring you joy in 2025, all right? So overall, Sigrid, what does it mean to create a joy list for the new year? And just why is it important to our mental health?
Well, I think it's important to differentiate from joy and the New Year's resolution that everybody will often make. And so I think sometimes it can be confused, and there's a different kind of intentionality about joy and making sure that that's a consistent thread in your day-to-day. Yes, there are going to be things that are going to frustrate you, that's going to stress you out, that are going to sadden you, but being able to pivot, not denying, not avoiding, putting something away in a corner, but being able to find the joy in everything. It's sad that can be such a hard task to do, especially when, recently, not too long ago, there was the shooting at the school in Wisconsin, in Madison, Wisconsin, and you think about learning, like when I thought about you and your excitement turning into maybe somewhat of a nature girl and, your herb garden. We love growth. We love growth. We love growth, whether it's mentally, physically, in a healthy way. And so to know that there are going to constantly be things that can distract us or take us away from growth means that we've got to be very focused, very intentional in making sure we recognize and work to have it. Some people, I think, get to a point where they feel that they don't deserve joy because I'm this age or I'm that age, and what's the point? Because something bad is going to happen. And so creating a joy list is making sure that that is something that you work towards having a feeling that you have. Because when you're looking to just be happy, which can be kind of situational, it can be a new clothing item, a new clothing item or something that you can misplace. You can ruin if you wash it the wrong way or something like that. But joy is it's a bigger, more kind of inner spiritual acceptance of life and the positives in life. And so it doesn't have to always be tangible. It has to be something that's bigger than that, maybe something that you feel in your heart and in your spirit, because there is this peace that comes along with it. And so you were talking a minute ago about the phone. And in that moment, I was thinking, wow, it's amazing how phones that were supposed to be intended to help us communicate have been, equated to work now. So when I heard you say that and you had to put it aside, it meant more so work to me. And who knew that that's what phones would mean or symbolize.
Evolve to.
Yes. Not just I need to share something positive, or negative or check in on somebody, but it's tied to our emails, our work calendars, everything, our bills, which there are benefits. But can be very stressful reminders, and you can find yourself losing a lot of time to receive joy, appreciate joy, do self-care, because we want to check
the phone is constantly on.
Yeah,
constantly nonstop. Yeah. You can pick up your phone, and there's something there that you can do that could rob you of your time.
Oh yeah.
Because you go into the sunken place.
Yes, you do.
And you're there because anything from texting someone to calling someone, sending an email, checking social media, playing a game, it's all there.
It's all there.
Yeah.
It is all there. It would be interesting to see how much, in general, for a certain age group of maybe grown working folks, work, business, bills, things like that are where we spend more of our time than actually, phone conversations and communicating, checking in. It would be very interesting to see what that breakdown is like. Because, we know that a lot of people don't talk as much, and they might text more than anything. But it would be interesting to see what that is like. But again, the biggest piece is how are you very intentional in recognizing what helps you to grow and feel peace and not stress.
Yeah. So as we're figuring that out and what ways we can build ourselves up, right? And put down the phone. What are some practical ways to incorporate more joy into our daily routines or even during busy and stressful times? Because you're so into the busyness and just stressed, so stressed out. Okay, great. How do we put a pin in that?
Right.
And then take some time for some joy.
Mm-hmm. You have to, it's sad to say that we're at this point, but schedule it. You got to schedule it. And maybe it's not on your phone, but sometimes because we are so, digitized in how we operate, in the world, that we need like a little timer. But it would be great if when we first got up, if it's, a gratitude moment that you have, if it's a prayer that you have, if it's a devotional that you do, that kind of takes you away from jumping into your schedule and what you've got to do, but your appreciation for having life still, and warmth. And how cold it was, the top of last week, and thinking about how many folks were out in the cold. We talk about it, but we don't really think about it until our heat isn't really kicking in the way that it needs to. But being appreciative, taking a few moments, and you can schedule it, or just know before I step out of this bed and put my foot on the ground, I need to be thankful for 3 things, 2 things, talk to my higher power, make a plan to kiss my loved one or hug them before they leave out the door, or make a plan and do, as far as a
plan and do.
So even if it's, okay, I need to write down my phone, but I need to make a plan to pick up my phone and say, I love you to someone, and put it down. Don't get caught up. Don't go to the email. Don't go to the calendar just yet. But carve out that time, because next thing you know, it's time to go to bed and get ready to do it all over again. And so I think it's very important. It's sad that I never thought that I'd have to carve out my girl time. I never thought that I would have to carve out my prayer time outside of at night, driving here, wasn't far, but okay, let me say a little prayer that I make it there. We're productive. We can help each other and someone else, and come back safely. All those things that we have to be so intentional. I love the spur of the moment stuff when it can happen, but scheduling is huge. Now, if things get busy and you rocking and rolling, then maybe it has to be spread out and it's a weekly thing, but it has to be bigger than just a little 5-minute, 10-minute check-in. Doesn't have to be huge, but maybe it's 30 minutes that you do something that gives you peace. If it's your show, if it's your, your stroll through, I don't need to buy one more thing from Target. Or walk through just to see if something just happens to fall into my basket. To walk through and get some steps at the same time.
Yeah.
And, even going to the store, you don't have a purpose, a reason to buy something. Target's going to make you buy something.
Every time.
Every time it's going to make you buy something.
Dollar aisle right in front of you.
Look at the joy in that.
Yeah.
Only spend $1. Now, I might have bought $20 worth of stuff, but I didn't have to walk through the whole store.
And it brought me joy.
There we go. And it brought me joy.
Yes.
And so thinking about ways that you can kind of give back to yourself, and it doesn't have to be super, super expensive, but maybe it's once a week. Maybe it's, a couple times a week, or if it is something you can do daily. I think where we lose the joy is we start to think of it as a task. You know what I mean?
Work.
Or work. So, I know some folks have clients who like to do artwork, and that is pleasing to them, to paint, to draw, that type of thing. And they're like, you know what, I can make money doing this. But then when the contracts start coming and somebody wants you to do marketing, it loses the fun and loses the joy. And so it takes a lot to get back into it in more of a natural way. Yeah. And so even that's another piece. If it's something that you love doing, think about why you love it. If it's starting to turn into a business, will you still love it? Or will it feel like something that you're kind of dragging your feet to do and it's more of a chore? And so that's even important too when we think about our careers or career changes, or we're retiring, and what we're going to do after that is what are things that don't feel like work, that they are pleasing to me. Joy. A lot of people get joy by giving to other people, and not so much an item, but their time. Organizing, dress for success, organizing clothes for people who, are not in the most advantaged situations to be able to, get jobs and go to Nordstrom and Neiman Marcus and Saks to buy whatever they want, whenever they want, so they can get a start to take care of the things they need. That is, to me, true joy.
Yeah. And we're going to help you bring joy into your life in 2025. So here are a couple of questions. If you're listening in, you're like, oh, what were those questions again? I think I have 3 things that brought me joy. The questions just to prompt the 3 things that brought you joy in 2024. What was a moment this year that made you feel most at peace or happy? For me, it was the patio. Was there an activity or a person or a place that made you feel more yourself? I would say sitting on my mother's porch in Connecticut. It's nothing about going back home and feeling grounded, right? And then what simple thing like a hobby or a quiet moment that made you smile this past year? I would say, I guess, the garden, right?
Yeah.
So, and what comes to your mind quickly? If you thought of something like, I don't know if I don't write that. No, write that down, because that can take you or spawn the next thought. So just write it all down. It's okay. My handwriting is gone since the age of computers. So you'll understand your own writing, and that's okay. Just write it down, right? So here's step 2. Step 2 is now we're going to take 2 to 5 minutes, and you can join us to write down 5 things. Write down 5 things that you want to intentionally add to your joy list for 2025. 5 things that you want to intentionally add to your joy list for the new year. Now, the first 3 is sort of like the layup, right? That, okay, this is 2024. Okay, I know it brought me joy in 2024. Using that as a launching pad, what do you want for 2025? For joy. What will bring you joy? What would make you happy? What will put a smile on your face, right? And as we're working through that, and I know we'll share ours as well, can you share how we can identify the activities, the people, the moments that truly bring us joy, and then distinguish them from the things that can drain us?
Oh, wow. That's a whole nother episode, though. Lord have mercy. Okay. Well,
high level.
High level. Okay. We'll start with people.
Yeah, we like that.
People. We'll start with people. You know, and not necessarily people who bring you joy, but the people who don't drain you. So we all have at least 1 to 3 or 5 folks in our lives who, you know, when they call,
you see the number come across your phone or the name or the picture.
And you say to yourself,
decline.
There you go. And what do?
Keep moving.
Keep it moving. And it's not because you don't love the person, not because you don't like the person, but maybe you had a stressful day. Maybe you know what you're going to get when you get on the phone. Maybe you don't have the time to be as available to them as you know that they need based on history. So I think setting some healthy boundaries. I know we talk about this all the time, but with people. So people who will drain you. You might need to set aside when you can talk to them, when you initiate it, and you're in that space. And somebody might say, I don't know when I'm ever in this space, you know, to deal with them because it's always something wrong, you know, or they don't ever ask how you're doing. So then that's the differentiation is the balance. So who's in my life who we have a conversation. We communicate on how each other's doing. We ask about how each other's family's doing. We listen and we do not judge. You know, we have moments where we connect and are able to speak to each other and not just like, yeah, girl, but really. No, how's your sister? Did everything get worked out with the financial stuff with the lawyer and attorney? I don't need to know the details, but are you at peace with it? Do you need a referral? You know, those are things that I think when we talk about relationships and who's in your life, it's not so much about do they bring me joy, because we don't want our joy to be dependent on somebody else. And why? Because things can change with them. They may not be here tomorrow, you know, and it's the sad part about reality, but it is the real, the real life lesson that, okay, I need to have joy in maybe what they brought to me in my life, because that you may be able to reflect on and possibly even recreate, you know, and it's a memory that can't be taken away from you. So I would start with people. You might not need to remove the people who are draining, but be thoughtful about when you're available for them.
Okay.
So that's one thing. I think you mentioned activities.
Yes.
You know, what fits? You know, when I hear people say, "Oh, I'm really committed to, my fitness and this, that, and other, blah, blah, blah," and it's like air to me. You know, when they say that, and that's a part of their lives because they don't want to return to, a particular, pattern, or they know they have a history, of some genetic medical problems or something like that, and they're like, no, this is what I know I have to do in order to jumpstart my day or wrap up my day. Love it. But when I hear folks say like, oh Lord, I gotta go to the gym, this, that, and other, well, is it pleasurable or do you feel forced to do it? Does something bad need to happen for you to understand, like, I can change this? And some things are beyond our human control, but when I hear people get excited, now, when I hear Karen Vaughn talk about going salsa dancing, I know that brings her joy, and I too want to add that to my list to make sure I can make that happen. And so you light up. You talk about how much time it is. These are things that are important.
Yeah.
For you to be able to feel joy is our time. Is it a good use of my time? You said a minute ago about decluttering.
Yes.
And are these items, you say, are they no longer of service to me? But are there things that we do, relationships, not people, but relationship dynamics that are no longer of service to me? So then what do I need to do to shift them to make them serviceable or put them in a certain place. That doesn't mean there's love lost, but it's just different.
It's different.
Okay?
Yeah.
So like that's another piece too. Are there activities that we look forward to that are reasonable in time and they add to our lives?
Okay. Love all of that.
Okay.
I'm thinking about the sister that's piecemealing joy because she's in survival mode. She's in grind mode. She's in hustle mode. Nothing else matters. But she needs that time of joy. How can she make room for joy in a realistic, sustainable way?
You know, my first thought when you start saying that is I would refer that sister to a therapist, you know, because a lot of times when we think about being that much on the hustle and nothing else matters, maybe sometimes it's money, it's the car, it's the jewelry, it's the house, it's Tiffany's, you know, whatever it is that, you know, excites us, you know, that could be the thing that drives this sister who's on a hustle.
Okay.
Now, and I want to differentiate her from the sister who's grinding because she's the only one who has to do everything. You know, if it's the single mom, whether it's, you know, by choice or situation or loss of a partner in whatever form that may be. There is a difference. You know, it is definitely harder for that sister who is like, I don't have any relief. I'm here by myself with these children or these
No one's
bills.
going to do it because no one's here to do it but me.
Yes, but me. That's a whole different level. And she needs to talk to somebody, too, in a way that it can fit in her schedule or in her pockets, you know. But the sister who's on the grind, it often makes me think, like, what are you trying to avoid? You know, on a different episode, you were talking about busying yourself during the holidays, doing everything, overcommitting this, that, and the other, to not think, to not feel, you know, to not sit with. And so oftentimes, we don't even realize we're doing it. The demands are coming, but we can't say no, you know, to some things. But there's something that we think will shift about how we're viewed and how we view ourselves if we say no or we don't do something. And so I would wonder, what is that sister avoiding? You know, and so whenever I have that friend, you know, and I'm like, hey, girl, so when do you do something that's just like nothing when you are not in your car going to this meeting, going to that meeting, whether it's work or pleasure, you involved in this, that, and another at your church, you're in 3, 4, 5 different organizations. Is there time for you to just not do anything? And what happens when that happens? Is it just when you sleep? You know, when you're not even conscious of that downtime? It makes me nervous because you're so busy. At some point, you're going to implode. Like, it's going to be a point where you're going to burn out on the inside or the outside or both. And it's going to be taken out on other people, or it's going to be internalized, and your body is going to feel that intensity. Some people say, well, my body lives off of that. I need to be, well, that's what you think. You know, something's being lost. Something's being lost when you're on the go that much. And so I would nudge that sister and be like, hey, girl, you know, let's pull away for a little bit, you know, and kind of do some, let's just be out in nature a little bit, weather permitting. This is Indiana. But let's, you know, go outside. Let's get on the porch and turn on the heater, you know, and just like sit out for a little bit. We ain't got to talk.
You just sit.
Right. And so that's one of the things that I think you have to be okay with. If that's your girl, that's your friend, that's your sister, y'all gonna be okay when you check in with her on there.
Yeah, and she's gonna be okay with you checking in on her.
She sure will, because nobody else probably has, because she's been a superwoman with the cape on all the time.
Exactly.
So they're like, oh yeah,
she got it.
She good. Look, this page right here said, you got this. You know, you got this.
Yes.
And so sometimes we start to, on the outside, think, oh yeah, she got it. She good. You know she good. She don't ever burn out.
Yeah.
Oh, you will.
Yes.
You will. You just don't know when.
Well, we don't want to get to that point.
No, we don't.
That's why we leaning into the joy. So through all of that earlier, what are the 5 things that you want to add to your joy list for 2025? So I'll add mine.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm going to add mine, and I'm going to listen to you as you add and talk.
Yes. So some are an extension of the 3. Well, I think one is. So just spending more time with family and friends, just getting away from my everyday, and just finding ways of spending more time with family and friends and, seeing family at home. So my goal is to go home a little bit more. Salsa dancing once a week.
Okay.
I love to salsa dance. It's a way to not only just, be with friends or be by myself, but it's exercise. And sometimes the gym, that routine is just, it gets boring. So salsa dancing kind of lively, makes it more lively, as well as it doesn't feel like I'm working out. But my calves at the end of it,
Oh, yeah.
sister.
Feel that burn.
I feel that burn. And I'm like, yes, I killed 2 birds with 1 stone.
Because you saw your step count go up.
I sure did. I said, okay, 10,000. Yes. I love it. Continuing to relax, in my garden and on my patio. Just an extension of that to just always remember what brings you peace. And it brought me so much peace that I'm going to add it on my list twice. So it's the first 3.
Okay.
It's the second.
Okay.
But then it's also the 7th. And I'm okay with that. It's okay to repeat.
Yep.
If you need more of it. Taking solo weekend trips to recharge. I like to call them my booked and busy weekends, but booked and busy with myself. Right?
I love it.
So I may take time and just stay in my room and set that up. And if you have a TV in your room, relax, watch movies, journal, do nothing, stay in the bed, get some nice cozy pajamas, lounge wear, and just lounge all weekend long. Be booked and busy on your calendar with you. Okay. Or I may check into a hotel, and maybe it's just for one night. Having dinner by myself, relaxing, kicking back in the hotel room, doing nothing. So just more booked and busy weekends. I had them on my calendar, but I wasn't able to follow through.
Okay.
In 2025, I'm going to follow through.
Okay.
And then setting aside me time every Sunday to relax and unwind. So I did this when I was pregnant with Cameron, and then after I had Cameron. On Sunday, I did absolutely nothing.
Really?
Nothing. I might have gone to church, and then I've put my pajamas back on, and I was on the couch. That's a Sunday to me. It's supposed to be a day of rest, right?
Yes, it is.
Well, I truly want to live in that and be intentional where Sunday is truly a day of rest. I don't want to cook and clean all day. I'll do that on Saturday. I don't want to do anything on Sunday. And if I do, I put it in the crock pot and it's cooking itself for like 8 hours.
Right.
That's what I want.
Cooking itself.
Yes.
But let me ask you this. But Cameron is 18. Is he 19 yet?
He's 19.
He's 19?
Yes.
But that's the last time that you really... Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, maybe like for the first 2 years.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
You making a note of that? How long ago that was?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And it's 2025. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay. That's all. Continue.
Yep. That's it. That's my 5.
Okay.
Those are my 5.
That's
what I want to add to my joy list for 2025. What are yours?
Okay. So, more dancing.
Okay.
It's definitely at the top. And to think about it, and you said it perfectly, it doesn't feel like a chore or exercising. Because if you got your playlist rolling and then it's your next song and then the next song and the next song, you're like, oh, shoot, this is my jam, I'm rolling.
Yes.
You don't even realize that your step count is going up and that you are now like in a 45-minute set. And about 8, 9 songs are going by. You didn't, right? Because, of course, our songs back in the day were longer than these songs now.
And the whole version. Yeah. And the extended version. Or the remix.
Remix, okay? So, like that piece, the dancing, it is so freeing. And it just, I don't know, it just seems like it charges my body. So I would definitely want to do more dancing, which I do all the time, but you can never have enough. I like to do more family movies. One thing that we've done, and with my stepdaughter, when she was about 9 or 10, we sat down and watched Roots with her, the whole series, the original one.
The 1977 one.
1977, okay.
Yes.
LeVar Burton. So we watched that one, and we just pulled it out for the children, and they saw the more recent one, my son did. And so it's like, okay, during this break, we got to make sure that we watch that. And I know that they're heavy movies, but it's a different story when there's certain movies my son mentioned watching Amistad at school. And I was like, really? And Hamilton South? Okay. Sorry. But I was surprised. But it's very different watching it with your parents, who are going to hopefully break things down, spell things out, answer questions more directly. I want to have that time, and not just the heavy movies, but those staples, those real ones that you need to know, and you need to know at least a few good, catchphrases from them too. Yeah. Like I need to make sure that we
see. You do notice
exactly. Yes. The Temptation. You need to have those movies in there. So the good ones, the heavy ones. I like that time to be able to generate conversation. It also ties together generations.
Yes.
Because certainly we talk about our, our family members who might have experienced this, or I think so-and-so wore that. Yeah, that's the kind of car that so-and-so. It's definitely a good family connector. Yes. So like that, I love. This one, and we're trying to move this to the joy side, but focus more on happy times with family. I think sometimes when you've dealt with a lot of loss, you can find yourself thinking, oh goodness, this is going to be my last time. Or you're at a funeral and you think, oh goodness, who's going to be the next one? You can get pulled into that very easily. Yes. And I want to be able to enjoy my time with my friends, my family, my sisters, and just be present with, we are having a good time, and I want to hold on to this.
Yes.
And not let my mind start shifting with the sad reality of, how life changes, know. So that's something I want to do. Staying organized. I know it sounds more like a chore task, but when you're talking about decluttering, the comparison between our minds and our homes, our rooms, our closets, our cars.
Our garages.
Our garages. They can really be a reflection of what's happening in here. So if it's too much going on, it's not a surprise that your house looks a mess, your car looks a mess, or this, that, and the other, or there's a particular room that looks a mess because maybe we compartmentalize the mess.
And you can shut the door.
Or you shut the door while we do all the other stuff. It's still there, okay?
It ain't going nowhere.
It ain't going nowhere. Until you say, all right, I'm not stepping over this anymore, whatever, or I'm not going to walk past this door, one more time. And so I think that whole being organized, what it does is, for some, when it's not to the extreme, it helps you to move through life easier. You can find what you're going to put on and get to where you're going, not feeling stressed out, this didn't fit, this didn't sit right, or this wasn't the right jewelry, because things were disorganized, chaotic, and hard to find. So I had to switch my whole routine or my whole attire, and now I'm late.
Yeah.
It's family affair.
And I'm stressed.
And I'm stressed.
Yeah.
So I'm not in a good place to go to, go salsa dance with my hunger,
yes.
And so being organized within reason, is huge just because it does help things to flow better.
Okay.
Gardening at least one weekend, because you spoke to this.
Mm-hmm.
We know that there are certain times of the year, most of the year, where just about every weekend has at least 1 or 2 days spelled out for it, whether it's something fun or something that's business related, or a meeting or this, that, and the other. And you can look and you go for every single weekend. And that's what December had felt like.
Yeah.
And it starts to ramp up in November. And we know that May, with all the graduations, April and May, all the graduations, Mother's Day, end of the year type stuff, you can feel like every single weekend is spoken for. Mm-hmm. And even if it's a couple of hours, it's something that you got to do.
Yeah.
And you might look forward to it, but you might not really want to get dressed, or you might not really want to leave because you're tired, because every single weekend was booked and busy and not in a good way, And so I think that I want to make sure that I guard at least having one weekend per month that I'm doing nothing but things that bring me joy, and preferably in my house, or in my subdivision.
Never go far.
I don't want to go far, and so those are things I wrote down.
Okay, awesome. Well, we're going to help you prompt just a few things, some prompt questions, to where our listeners and viewers can write down 5 things to add to their joy list. And if you have any additional questions, definitely add them. Yeah. One is, what are some things you want to do in 2025 to make you feel alive and connected to joy? The other is, how can you build time into your routine for these? This is all still steps 2. What small intentional moments can you create every week to prioritize your happiness? few prompt questions to help you with your 5 things. Okay. We shared ours with you.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot wait to get back on the patio, y'all. Y'all have no idea. Still have a couple of months before we can do that. So in writing this down, and just to help everyone watching, when we think about writing those additional 5 moments, how did it feel thinking through what you wanted to add to your joy list?
Oh, it felt a little, I would say, a few mixed emotions, because it did highlight for me the things that I have not been doing, but I value. And so it's like, why, if you value it, why is it not a priority? You know, my husband always says, you prioritize what's a priority to you.
Yes.
And so I'm like, okay, so maybe it's what I feel like are the needs. And I think that sometimes we don't feel like joy is a need, or happiness or peace is need. We think, now, again, depending on where you are and what your situation is, if the basic physiological needs of clothing, food, and shelter are high up on your list, and you don't know what that's going to look like from day to day, then that's more important. It's going to take a priority over, I feel happy I got to listen to this, or I got to buy me that. That makes sense. But when you know that you're blessed to have those taken care of and there's some security in that, sometimes we live in fear and don't really think about, okay, when do I step back and appreciate it? So your garden, you know, your patio, being able to kind of step out and do that, like that is huge. And so I was thinking, okay, Sigrid, you slipped on a few things and not been as guarded. It can feel different at different times of the year, for sure.
Yes.
But I'm like, okay, this is temporary. This is temporary. And I think that it's a pivotal time of year to be doing something like this, because you are coming off of a season where schedules are more intense and everything is busier. And so you can get lost in that.
Yeah.
So it did make me reflect.
I felt like a kid again, writing down what brought me joy, right? Remember doing those fun lists when you were in school or a kid, right? And just life was just so simple. So I was just leaning into what is simple, simplicity.
Yeah.
What are the simple things I can do to add joy to my life? And I actually felt really good and charged up for the new year, because I'm leaning into what brings me joy. It has nothing to do professionally and everything to do with me, myself, and I, as I cue up De La Soul for myself.
Yes, okay.
And being okay with that. So I'm really looking forward to doing more on my joy list. And you know what? If it's more than 5 items, that is okay. It is more than okay. Just don't overschedule yourself to where you feel a little burnt out from it. But it's just really being mindful and being self-aware. What role does being self-aware play into making space for joy? And how can we practice it in our everyday lives?
Okay. You know what? That made me think about how we define our joy, or our sources of joy. You know, you could hear a grandmama say, oh, you know, when I make this food and I see my family eating and they're happy and this and that brings me joy. That's a different kind of lifelong kind of wisdom type of joy, because you don't know if that grandmama saw plenty of days where they didn't have any food. And so, so her background, her history can kind of place her appreciation and her peace in a different way. But when folks, joy is, you said, me, myself, and I, when their joy is so dependent on other people and things that can shift and change and are not under our control, it's dangerous. So I love that, hearing you say, me, myself, and I.
Yeah. As we wrap and go into the new year, hello, 2025, right? You know how every year you'll see the meme of the beach and like the prior year, which for us would be 2024, and how the wave has come over 2024 and coming back, it's 2025. So I'm really looking forward to the new year and watching New Year's Rockin' Eve. And just really taking in the holiday and the new season, the new year, new beginnings. It's beautiful. As we head into 2025, what are some tips for staying connected to our joy? How can we stay connected to our joy list? Not something that we do on the 26th or the 28th or the 31st, and then by the 4th, we forgot all about it. But we go back to work on the 6th, and it's just like, oh, I haven't tapped into my joy list. So how can we stay committed to our joy list throughout the year, even when life gets complicated?
Okay, well, you know what? Unfortunately, and I know it sounds like we're probably talking out of both sides of our mouths here, but if it has to be on your calendar and you need a reminder that, okay, this is the booked and busy for me weekend, and that's it. Or this is the first 10 minutes of the day. I'm going to use this for that. So yes, I know at 8 o'clock I got to get on this call, but get up a little bit earlier if you can, or start your bedtime routine a little bit earlier so that you can carve out that time for just you if it's something that you know you need to do daily, or you miss a day or two. Don't beat yourself up. If it's journaling or your exercise or something, carve out a little extra time on a different day, and you can still get at it and not feel like, oh, it's all done. Because what happens is we're like, oh, well, I got off, so here it is. So here we are. We'll try again next year. And you're like, okay, but it's January 3rd. So so I think it's the piece of just recognizing that we're still evolving, we're still growing, we're still learning, even if we are 50 plus. We still are. And so not realizing, or not getting so sucked into this piece that, if I messed up this one day or this one moment or missed this, then it's completely over. Constantly think about it. Guard the time. Put it on the calendar. Put a reminder. Put up a sticky note. Get a poster on your bulletin board in your house, or poster board or something on your refrigerator, a magnet that is a reminder for you to do that check-in.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you checked in with everybody and with us today, because our joy list, it's an important aspect of 2025. And when you're thinking through your joy list, think through what your journal looks like. I love going to Marshalls and Home Goods and going to their section and finding a good planner and a good journal, because they always have pretty ones, right? Just a journal that when you see the cover, you feel joyful. Yes. And my aunt would always say, a lady must have a pretty glass. I'm going to extend that and say, a lady must have a pretty pen.
I'm with it.
Right, a pretty pen that you can write with and write what brings you joy and all the things that your heart desires. So you have some homework. Get your journal and your pen and start creating your joy list. We want to see them on our IG page at Exhale, Be Well, Exhale, Be Well. On IG, let us know what brings you joy, because you never know how you can help someone with their joy list as well. And definitely share this episode and share the joy list with a friend to prioritize making yourself happy and your friend happy as well, so your tribe is living their best lives in 2025. I was about to say 2024, but it's a wrap.
You already made it. It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. But thank you all for watching and for listening to the Exhale podcast. We are 1 year in now. Oh, wow. And I'm excited about where we're going in the future. And our goal is to always bring joy and do it in a space that is safe, that is real, needed, and full of support. So thank you all for listening and watching. And thank you, Dr. Elston, for always just lending your expertise to what we do and who we are, and truly for us, by us, this podcast here. So just thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you.
You're welcome. Until next time, exhale and be well. Happy New Year.